We're going merry-go. Alright folks, how you doing? Huh? You alright? Excellent. Alright, as good as useless. As good as useless. Worse than useless. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Whatever. Actually, I think it just looks coppery where it's been worked. It looks more like brass on the inside. Either way, that's the contact between the cooling fins. Literally just the paint that's holding them in place. And we're not even doing that. Oh my goodness! What's the fight? Okay, folks. Pretty interesting. I've just figured out how to put a flare on a bit of pipe in the lathe. Conceivably, I could put a flare, any flare on any bit of pipe. Probably not if the wall thickness is much greater than this. This is 1mm wall. This is fine for what I want to do. This is a nice bit of pipe, I think. I'll show you what I've been doing. It's a bit slapdash, but it works. Okay, so I've just got my bit of pipe chucked up in the lathe. This would work much better if I had a bit of hardened steel. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, I do have plenty of bits of steel that are hard, or I can make hard. But what? Let's just do it again. It worked the first time like this. Whoa. On you bastard. Okay, that is flared. I'm just going to touch the edge of it up with the tool. Mostly you do this to stop it cracking. You're working with aluminium or copper, but you know, you're taking that knife edge away that you've just created. Sweet.
Listen, I'm sorry to drop in unannounced, but I know we had a Skype call scheduled for a little bit later today, right?
Okay, so we've got the start of a manifold there, collector, whatever you want to call it. I put some washers on the first bit of pipe where the fan's fastest. These just sit right behind the fast bit of the fan, I suppose. Fans don't really do anything towards the middle, and because this is quite close to it, I suppose, I don't know, it kind of makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I can put the washers all the way along because it goes a bit close to the compressor, so that's the first bit. Now we're going to go up from 20mm pipe to 25mm pipe and bring it back around underneath the crankshaft compressor, and that bit of pipe's going to be covered in the washers all the way along. So well, not all the way along, you know. Either way, we'll get a bit of pipe bent up to go from the end of what I've just made, and it's going to finish off just here, and I'll have a Okay, so we've got the collector or manifold. It's a dog leg all over the place. It's pretty much done now with the non-return valve hanging off the end of it. We'll have to tee in the line for the what do you call it? That other thing, bollocks, unloader valve. Yeah, that'll come out just on the elbow, I suppose. Just out there somewhere. Okay, because I'm going to have to wait for parts for the unloader valve itself, because these are all, what do you call them, AN fittings, or NPPT, MPPT. Oh, going to spend a bit of time. This is a second flywheel that I got sent because the first one was bent. You know, the box that it came in, this compressor pump was below par and not capable of protecting its contents, so I've got a second one. It's so bloody rough, you know. I mean, they're not that. I mean, they're not that rough, but again, it offends me slightly. So I'm just going to spend a bit of time cleaning the blebs off these blades. Running out of things to do here. I need fittings, but what? They're not going to come for days, so I'm just going to make the ball whip, the throttle control actuator, I suppose, pneumatically. Why don't you? Yeah, I'm turning it the right way. I'm turning you the right way. You've got no excuses. There we go. So we're going to try and make a pneumatic actuator out of this. It's quite long because I'm going to have to put a spring inside to return the throttle to the open position.
These are people that did deals that just.
Alrighty then, folks. I think I've just about sorted out the throttle control actuator. Yeah. So we've got that's a pipe joint compression fitting. Hacked it in half, silver soldered it onto a brass tab. I've got to drill a hole in that to mount it in the engine, but we don't know that bit yet. Then we've got obviously the compression fitting just winds on the end of there, and that will hold a bit of pipe. And here's the the actuator itself, so a little bit of copper pipe. Just turn down that piston, set a couple of O-rings in there, and we've got a spring that seems to be, you know, promising sort of weight, and another compression in the back of there. That will take the 5/16 line that will go to the unloader, the pilot on the unloader valve, the unloader pilot port. So that slides in there. Oh. Goes in there. Are you sitting there? There you go. You're seated now. There we go. A homemade throttle control valve. Bit nervous about tightening this up, because once I tighten it up I'm probably going to struggle to, because it always shrinks the pipe a little bit. I think I'm just going to nip it, just gently nip it. Hopefully it doesn't, you know, close the pipe up too much, because that'll mean the piston will get stuck, and what else? I don't know. It won't be good anyway. If that happens, I suppose I'm making this out of brass, and yeah, I think it's something. It's fine. Right, check this out. There we go. That's my my penalty for not doing the compression fitting up tight enough. We don't want it flying apart, do we? Because then the engine's going to be stuck at max chat. Okay, it works. Right, let's get it fit to the engine. So, if my sums are correct, we should, I hope, be able to sneak it in just down here next to the air filter, and the fuel tank should sit back on, and you know, nothing on the outside of the engine will really be that disturbed. So we'll just, that's normally the clamp that holds a cable if you've got a cable operated throttle. Just pull that off. Pretty cool, eh? Alright. Okay, so I'm still waiting for some plumbing fittings. There'll still be a couple of days. I've done everything I can on the plumbing now, I think. I really want to work my way around from the pump. So what? Hey? I don't know. Oh yeah, I'll just get started on the tin work. What I want to do with the tin work is, most important thing is get some cover over this, keep it off, keep the weather out of it, you know. So a nice lid on it, and sides that come down, you know, at least the first quarter. But also a sort of secondary aspect to this tin work. You know, these pumps have great big fans on them, and it sort of just goes around the pumps. It's the same on most compressors. They are, if you start looking at the really new compressors, big ones like sort of 4 or 5 horsepower electric compressors, you'll start seeing plastic shrouds on them. That's a fairly new thing. You know, I want to do a good shroud and put some good baffles on this, which is not something you often see on smaller compressors like this. This is still a small compressor, you know, like big compressors these days are not piston compressors. They're all screw or hydrovane or something like that. You know, big industrial compressors like in factories, or the compressors you see in on road compressors, terrible road compressors, and they're all oil cooled. You know, they don't look anything like this basically, but these piston compressors, yeah, they always have bad cooling, and because this is going inside an enclosure anyway, I think we'll do a nice job of it and have this cooled better, because the enclosure is already half the job of the baffling, if you know what I mean. So I can't really do the baffling until I know the shape of the enclosure. So and I don't want to do too much to the enclosure because I haven't done the plumbing yet, and it might get in the way of my plumbing. It's like, oh, that's why I was leaving it till last. But you know, can't really do that. Can't really do the plumbing yet. So I'll start on the mud guards, and I shouldn't get anything in the way of those mud guards, and then hopefully my fittings will turn up when I can finish the plumbing and then finish the enclosure. But if they don't turn up, then I'm going to do the lid for this thing, which means doing the front first, and the lid I want split in two, so we'll have the back half of the lid over the engine and pump that folds up easily but doesn't expose the belt and pulleys, yeah, so I can't accidentally shove my arm through it, because you know I'm a bit stupid, but covering up pulleys, like, especially when there's 9 horsepower behind them, it's always been you know, something on my mind, perhaps. Yeah. So yeah, the back half of the lid will be easily opened up for refilling the fuel tank, starting and making adjustments, whatever. But the front half will be screwed down, you know, and it will take a screwdriver and a dozen screws or something to pull that bit off if I ever have to get to the belt, which I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will. Alright, let's do these mud guards. The mud guards will have to support the sides, so they'll be pretty stout.
incomplete and inaccurate. To some extent, given the conditions during the lengthy and unappetizing dig, it was understandable. As well, no one in that county had ever dealt with a case like that before, nor in the country for that matter, and so evidence handling was rather unprofessional, with deputies leaving their own fingerprints on items yet to be dusted, although they never were.
Okay, so I think I've got all my plumbing bits now. I might not have the right unions to put the pressure gauge on. I shouldn't keep that with the other bits anyway. I'll end up cracking that very nice stainless steel gauge. You know what? So it sort of makes sense to do this before the tin work. I did get, as you saw, mud guards done, and Julian HG has very kindly given me a load of steel. This is the worst sheet. I just pulled that in so I could use it first. Like the others are virginal. I'll show you everything in the tin work video. But either way, it's much more suitable than the 1.5 mil steel that I had. That's 1 mil, so it'll work a lot easier with my bead roll and that. Either way, you know, doesn't matter now. Mud guards are out at 1.5 mil, and it definitely makes sense to do the plumbing first. So we'll get it running in this video and try and build up pressure, and then come back and do all the tin work and maybe put the pressure gauge in on the next video. Alright, okay, let's do it. Okay, so I've got the feed pipe from the pump running up here. We've got a screw connector there, so I can, you know, once this is all welded together, that just that sort of thing, screw connector. You know, only the nut turns. Whatever I've welded to the back of this doesn't have to turn. You know what I mean? These are all screw fittings that are meant for threaded pipe, and I'm welding them. I know it's perhaps not the nicest way to do this, but figuring this out and cutting my own thread is going to be a nightmare, isn't it? I don't have a die this big. I could have got one. Perhaps would have made a nicer job. I would have needed more fittings, but whatever, doesn't matter. This will be fine. I'm just figuring out right now where I want my outlet to be. This is going to end up being like this. So we've got the cock and claw fitting. Obviously we need this hasn't got that shuts off automatically, the PCL does. The claw fitting doesn't, you know, that's why it wants a cock there, and again got the right fittings to go from 3/4 down to I think it's half. No, it can't be half, it must be 1/4. Either way, that's not a proper PCL. I won't use this one, this is just a spare. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where I want to mount this. I'm going to have some baffling here to keep the hot section of the engine away from the air that's being drawn into the compressor or over the compressor. That just wants to shoot out the side here. Thinking I could have a little door here. You know, a little door here with my pressure gauge around about the same place. Or the other thing I was thinking is, because the 3/4 line is really heavy, the rubber line, the flexi hose that goes from the compressor to the tool is heavy stuff, isn't it? Like, and I've seen on quite a few compressors they'll have the outlets pointing down, but I don't really know where I'd do that. Yeah, just having a little thought at the minute where this wants to go. I might go and have a poo, and normally everything becomes clear after that, doesn't it? Yeah. Give me a minute, folks. Right, well, let's put the spring back in my step. I think I decided to put it down here. Or maybe that way around. you know, it doesn't matter which way around as long as I know where to end my bit of pipe, yeah, and I can put a bracket from one of these unions down to this steel plate, so I don't flex things too much as I'm jamming hoses in the hole. You know what I mean? So we just got to go from here up to here. Don't know where I'm going to put my gauge though. The gauge doesn't have to be in the same place as this, but it wants to be somewhere open. Yeah, well, we'll carry on thinking about that and get this pipe in place. Ish. Yeah. 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 Okay, so we got the reach around pipe bent up, and that's got a couple of holes down here and up here, and they line up with our little upstands we've got coming out of the tank. So it's a bit of persuasion to get in the right place, doesn't it? Oh, that's why. The compressor's not bolted down, is it? Alright, let me weld that in place. Okay, so that's the main bit of plumbing. There we go, just comes down there. Got non-return valve in there, one screw connector, elbow, bit of pipe, another screw connector, upstand to the tank, brass connector, brass screw connector, right angle brass screw connector, another upstand to that tank, brass right angle screw connector, and then round here the reach around to the T-piece.
Regularly, because you've got the habit of doing so, it makes it more convenient to have it in that one place, perhaps elsewhere on another website. Yeah, but you mentioned the type of social media usage. You said are there any other types, or is this the terms that they looked at? They're the ones that they found in association with, because they had a long list of different factors. 5 scores, looking at the ones that they included. For example, another one is that
for the Telegraph, where you just summed it up in one sentence. Today's woke agenda and the cancel culture madness are weighing our societies down. So Douglas, what on earth can we...
Okay, everything's done. All the plumbing's done. I haven't got any fittings on this T-piece yet, but it's all got to come apart anyway. Yeah. I had to make some fittings up for this. Basically made took a bit of solid bar, turned it down, turned a flare on the end of it, and then this pipe was welded to the end of that. And here we had one of there's an American compression fitting on the end of this, and I bought another, 5/8 American. Like 5/8 American is different to 5/8 English. 5/8 English is the internal bore of the pipe. 5/8 American is the outside. Yeah. So I went out and found I could get the NPT taper for the bottom there. That's fine. But the US compression fitting I got for the top wasn't didn't have the same thread on it. So I ended up putting a piece of brass inside, drilled the piece of brass out, and then soldered all 3 together. And this has got a British. Well, no, this is the metric. It's a metric one actually. This isn't a 1/2 inch. It's 15mm. They're the same size anyway, because the 1/2 inch was the internal bore of the copper pipe, and 15 is the outside, isn't it? And then this bit of steel turned down to 15mm on the inside, so that's got an olive on it. I haven't done it up yet, but I didn't want to compress it before I welded these properly, and then this is just welded to that. Yeah, round the fucking houses, fucking say, round the houses. You guys in the States, you could use BSP and you'd still be using Imperial units, but the rest of the world actually uses BSP. You know, they've got funny names for it. The French like to pretend it's metric, so they'll call a 7/8 like 22, and by some weird pitch, but it's still a BSP. Every fucking car's got BSP on its brake lines, apart from the American ones. You know, yeah, it's still Imperial. Anyway, I've got to take this all apart again and weld it up properly, and then I guess we'll try and fire it up and see if it builds pressure, eh? Okay, so I've got the throttle actuator line tidied up a bit. Yeah, we got to have a little coil there for movement, but this piece here is nicely supported, so hopefully we only get movement in the coil. Yeah, we've got a little bracket there. I was going to originally put the bracket off these bolts here, but you know, the engine had a couple of drilled and tapped holes that weren't in use, so I decided to use them instead because they're going straight into the casting. It should be a little bit better. Alright, so what's left? Just pulling this all apart, and we've got these little brass clamps. It's nice to have a bit of brass with your with your copper, isn't it? Yeah, we just pull it apart and weld everything up proper, and then try and run the old girl, I guess. Okay, folks, so I've just got back onto the compressor after leaving it for a week and doing something else, and completely forgotten what I said last time, you know, to the camera and that. So we'll just run through it again. It'll help me remember what's going on as well. Yeah, I'm about ready to fire it up, but right, see what I did with this pulley. Everything's bolted in place. The engine's not bolted down complete, is it? Maybe it is. Yeah, the engine's bolted down. But I've got to align the belts still, so these should be square, but you might be able to see the engine pulley is slightly further forwards than the compressor pulley. So what I did, I can flip this round. I'd rather not though, because the other side's a bit messy. But also we got a big steel spacer in there that I made. I can just turn that down a bit. I'll measure up, see where we're at, and I left I can't remember how much, a decent gap underneath that washer before we get to the crankshaft, so we can move the pulley back without the bolt bottoming out on the crankshaft. So that's yet to do before I start it, but let's run through from the pump to the tanks. We've got obviously the lovely new heat exchange, or aftercooler, whatever you want to call it. That swings around underneath to the non-return valve for the main line, screw coupler so I can pull it apart, and then the main line feeds up another screw coupler up there and into the bottles, into the receivers rather. We've got pressure relief valve there in the middle, and temporarily a gauge. Then we come down the side, we're anchored again. We do have another anchor point over here, taking the weight of it but not stopping any sideways movement, I suppose. This one stops all movement because I'm going to be whacking hoses in there. That's nice and solid now. And you've got a little so claw fitting there, 3/4 claw, and PCL. These are really like the new PCL fittings. They've got a rubber band around them. It doesn't matter here, but when you got them on an airline, stops them getting knackered. Nice. I never put them on airlines though, because they get knackered. You know, you always want the PCL on your compressor though, like the genuine one, good quality one. Yeah, and then we've got coming out of the main feed, or sorry, coming out the spare union that we're not using that we weren't going to use. Oh yeah, these cylinders were linked side to side, and then had a feed pipe coming off, which is why it's got a three-way here. But I'm using that other fitting. I made turned down a solid flare. I showed you that, I think. Anyway, this goes to the piloted, not dump valve, crikey, Jesus, piloted unloader valve, yeah. Okay, so that then feeds into the main line. Really, this is just a pressure sensing, but obviously on the compressor this was built for, this would have fed the feed from the bottom there, but we're not using it how it's intended. Then we've got the piloted section, feeds into this nice bit of copper pipe. We've got a little bracket there that the whole thing's hung off, and then it goes to the actuator in there, and what? Yeah, that's it. I remember everything. Hey, magic. Okay, let's sort out that pulley, and then we'll run it up. Unload. Give a bit of choke maybe. Oh my days. Oh my days. Where did that go? Jesus, fuck. That nearly killed me. God, I don't know what happened. I guess it unwound itself, but I just shot the PCL across the room. I felt some shit on my shoulder. Look, I was standing, I was just standing here, yeah, and the PCL's gone from down there. Jesus, where did that go? Where the fuck did that go? Here we go. Why did you come out, Mr. PCL? Oh my days. Okay, so it's probably been about 3 weeks since I had a camera pointed at this thing. What have I done? Well, it's kind of completely replumbed in threaded iron pipe. It's actually mild steel. It's really weird stuff actually. I don't like it. It's actually you know, sort of painted electro welded mild steel, and well, it's not like that. It's not that nice rough finish on it for you to get a grip on that the other stuff has. But whatever. Fucking trains. Yeah. So all I really had to do was order some pipe up and some more fittings. I don't think this is as neat, but I don't think this will leak either, which is the most important thing, isn't it? Eh? Still set up near enough exactly in the same way. Apart from that that's just, you know, rather than having two separate unions, just uses one big union teeing off the main pipe and going into that bottle, and then teeing into the PRV and the pressure gauge in its temporary location there. So I think I should probably fire it up, I suppose. Okay, so I'll probably leave it there for now. All works pretty nicely. That's not sealed up particularly well on the bottle, but I never put any sealant on that because I wanted to get it all painted first, so that my brass fittings don't get paint on them. You know, that's an important part of all this, isn't it? Hey, got to leave the brass out in the open. I think that's about it, guys. You know, so yeah, like I say, what things going on that? Haven't been around for a while. Might be a bit hit and miss in the next month or two, but I'll do my best and catch you all again soon. Yeah, and I'll finish doing the tin work on this. We'll put a lid and a hinge so we can get to the back bit easily, but not to the belts so easily, and make it all right to live outside for a bit. All right, okay. Take care, folks. Bye bye.